somebody else have to start it live. Yeah.
All right, so we're back live here, guys. ATL 3-Style Live Podcast. Sorry about the technical difficulties. If you missed it, obviously we had some issues going on here, man. But we got Coach I. Coach I just gonna do the introduction again, man. He's no stranger to the college football scene. We're talking some UGA football, man, coming off an epic away win versus the number one Texas here. So, Coach I, sorry about the technical difficulties here. We're gonna bring it back to you on your thoughts on Georgia as they beat Texas in Austin, man, and how you felt about that game.
Yeah, man. I think I liked it, man. We went into the number one team in the nation, went into their house. I think it's the biggest win in college football. Previously, I think it was Oregon beating Ohio State, but they did that at home in their own field. So us going to Austin, beating Texas handily, you know what I'm saying, by multiple scores, even though our offense didn't play good, I think it's easily the most impressive win this season. Maybe I guess you could throw Vandy beating Alabama in there, but Vandy's not the same Vandy of old. So the Dogs showed that they still in this hunt. You know, I know people kind of counted them out after losing to Alabama, but I think this right here showed that anybody can beat anybody on any given day.
Absolutely.
And that whole Vandy beating Alabama, it was such a they shook the college football world. Alabama came off beating Georgia week prior. It was
Right.
probably one of their biggest wins, and then you turn around and you have their biggest loss in a span of 7 days. So I mean, I look at it, when people tell talking heads, they want to keep Alabama relevant for some apparent reason. And Georgia is just first crack of adversity. They want to just bury Georgia to be left for dead. I want to ask you something about the Kirby factor. Obviously, we wasn't ready coming into that game in Tuscaloosa. What do you think he did differently going into Austin? Having these boys prepare and play completely different, coming off the coin flip. Going into that roster, hostile environment.
I think if you look at the history of us against Bama under Kirby, we kind of coach or play not to lose instead of coaching and playing to win. If you go back to that game in Tuscaloosa, you'll watch, even on defense, you'll see for a good, like, I would say first half of the game, our DBs are playing like 6-7 yards off. We play a little bit more zone than we normally do. I guess, of course, Jalen Milroe has something to do with that because of his mobility. But just overall, we just go in and we always have a different strategy for Alabama than we do for everybody else. Whereas we respect the A, I guess, on their helmet a little too much, in my opinion. But when we went to Texas, one of the things that helped, Kirby's big about not being disrespected. And all week, nobody literally on the national media scene gave Georgia a chance other than like maybe one out of, 20 or 30. And Kirby preached that and preached that, back in 2021. I think Nolan Smith said he made up something, somebody said we was going 75. They used that all year, but he didn't have to make nothing up going into Texas. We literally heard it on every show. Like, I don't know how Georgia's going to score. I don't know how they're going to do this. And that all the while not taking into account, listen, Texas is a good team. I think they're a top 5 team, but honestly, Texas hadn't played anybody. So, I mean, you look at Michigan, we thought Michigan was going to be good, but Michigan couldn't score on us 3 and 8 guys down the street. Their defense is not what it was last year. And then they played a bad Oklahoma team who has a defense but couldn't spell offense. So coming into the game, they wasn't ready for the physicality and the speed of which Georgia was going to be playing with. So I think it said a lot about where Georgia still is, and I think Kirby's always able to get them up for the big games as long as you ain't wearing that crimson tide color.
Man, listen, Coach, you absolutely right, man. Kirby is a master motivator, man, and he's been able to, coach these boys up in big moments. And we know there's no secret, man. There is just an abundance of talent on this Georgia roster. And for some reason, like you said, I don't know what it is about Alabama, but it's just one of those things where I think that, they did exercise that demon, obviously, in the national championship a couple of years ago where they were able to beat, he was able to beat Saban and bring Georgia a title home for the first time in forever. But I don't know. But that's not really, with the escape of college football now, I guess that's not really going to tell the tale with 12 teams
Mm-mm.
now in the college football playoffs. There's a lot of football left, and you still have some room there. But going down the stretch, it looks like that Georgia should be okay and setting themselves up here to come back to Atlanta. Before we talk a little bit about that long term in the landscape of how you see this whole thing playing out, I wanted to talk a little bit about the way this game was officiated down in Austin. It was really, it was wild to me. I hadn't seen a football game officiated like this in quite some time. There was some controversial calls, obviously, and we know that, the refs aren't perfect, but this left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths as to how this game was officiated and how some of the things that happened were handled. Coach I, how did you feel the factor, even though Georgia did still came out with a win, how did you feel about the officiating in this game? And do you feel like there's a lot that needs to be looked at when it comes to officiating these big games with some of these crews?
Listen, during the game, of course, the one that was most obvious was the interception, defensive pass interference, no call, reverse call, whatever we calling it. Initially, of course, I'm like, oh, it's pass interference. Then they say it's not. And then I was like, okay, it wasn't pass interference, but I don't think the college football world is mad about that or confused about that. I think the thing is the referees did a terrible job handling that whole situation. First and foremost, you got to call a delay of game penalty on Texas's crowd. Like, no, like where do they do that at where you can throw crap on the field, stop the game? Now it's one thing if you ain't stop the game, but you stopped the game and they had to clean up crew come out there. I mean, at any game I've watched, you get a delay of game penalty. So that's the first thing. Second thing is pass interference, wrong or right, isn't reviewable. So when you throw the flag, you confer. After you throw the flag, you confer with your buddies in the stripes. You get the call right, and then you call it out to the fans. Once you call it out to the fans, it's a done deal. You can't go back and say, "Oh, we picking up the flag." No, you should have did that when you was conferring with your buddies after you threw the flag. Wrong or right? Again, it wasn't pass interference. That's fine. After that's said and done, though, I'm actually glad that part of it went down the way it did because I know, Banks, if they don't get that call and win, all we're gonna hear from Texas fans is, "Oh, if they wouldn't have called that bogus pass interference, we would have came back and beat y'all." That type of stuff. And then you just shows you it didn't matter what you was calling on us. We was gonna handle that. The targeting calls, I think two of them. I think the first one was targeting. Dan Jackson, that was helmet to helmet. I think the targeting needs to be reviewed though for the Jonel Aguero targeting because I get that he led with part of the crown of his head, but he hit a dude in the chest. I mean, we all played sports growing up. The shoulder pads come down below your chest. If I can hit you, if I can't hit you in the shoulder pads, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I get that they say they're trying to protect the defender. I don't think that was more so should have been called. I mean, I guess technically under the rule, he led with the crown of his helmet, but I think that whole rule needs to be reviewed. There was other missed calls from both sides the rest of the game. I just don't think it was a greatly officiated game, especially a game of that magnitude.
Yeah, definitely. Physics is also involved when you talk about those calls as well. Banks, I know you had something that you wanted to ask Coach I about with the landscape of college football now, right?
I did. The kind of like to finish up what you were saying, Coach, about the target and then reviewing it. I think, at some point, we got to kind of protect the game. You talking about protect the players. I mean, it's like, what are we doing here? And then like the kind of ponytail off. I mean, pig. I can't even get it out. The Roger coattail back from what you said about the pass interference and that particular play. Where I got upset is you set the ball down to be hyped again. It was placed, meaning we're moving on. And after the debacle with the trash and everything, I just got to get this off my chest. You consulted with your other refs and you sat there and played this call. Let's pick it up. We're not gonna get out of here alive. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Mm-mm.
Now other teams gonna see this and say, you know what? If we pick a bigger tantrum, we can do the same thing and get a call overturned. But I'm not gonna keep rambling. Coach, that particular win, how do you see the landscape changing in the SEC and the college football playoff going forward with this win? Going forward with what Georgia got ahead of them.
I think it definitely puts us. I ain't gonna say put us back in the race because, but I don't think we was ever out of it. But nationally, I think people kind of like left us for dead or something like that after that Alabama loss. I think it actually started a little something, man. Texas was, said to be one of the three best teams. Texas, Oklahoma, Oregon, and Ohio State or whatever. It showed that I don't know if there is a best team in the college football landscape right now. I mean, that includes Georgia. I think even the top guys can be beat. In the SEC tonight, we'll have a little more shakeup. You got LSU and Texas A&M, who are the only two undefeated in conference play. One of them are going to have a loss, and I think the other one's going to have a loss as well. So I'm interested to see these tiebreakers in all of these conferences because right now there's a possibility that in the ACC you have 4 or 5 one-loss teams, maybe 2-loss teams. I think every Power Four conference is going to have that. So this 12-team playoff college football landscape, I think it's all up in the air, to be honest with you. I don't think, there should be a favorite, going in, even as a dog fan. Of course, I trust my dogs, but I don't think anybody's a favorite, as of now. And I think a lot of that has to do with like NIL and the transfer portal, creating more parity across college football.
Absolutely,
And
man.
I didn't want to cut you off, Leo, but I think going forward with that particular sentiment is that the NCAA feel like the 12-team playoff format, all this is going to cause is just chaos at the end of the year. Okay, you said all these one-loss teams in the ACC and the SEC. At this point, now you got to start wondering, okay, who's deserving to go, or are we going by who's deserving to go, or what the records say? You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? That's the big gray area that I don't like about. If your records say you belong, then you belong, but don't go by, well, who would have been favored had it been a no. We're not doing that. Put the teams that deserves to go. That's just
right.
my bottom line. We're not going to do if Alabama was playing Illinois, who's going to be favorite? Well, Illinois got a better record, so Illinois deserves to go. So I mean, it's you understand what I'm saying? Like we're not if
Yeah.
we're going to keep doing that, then we should even play the game. We should just put the who's the favorite and let's see who can. No, I just wish they would just do it the correct way.
One of the
Right.
biggest things is obviously the money is a determining factor. We all know that
Hmm.
it's always going to be something that is going to be looked at. But I absolutely totally agree with you, Banks, and I also agree with you, Coach I, on the fact that hey, that there needs to be a lot of transparency as to how we pick these teams for this playoff. And like you said, Banks, the teams that deserve to go. Yeah, I know the revenue is really big, but if you have a team that might not be as popular as an Alabama or the Notre Dames or whatever, if they deserve to go, if they've met all your criteria to meet the 12-game playoff, then obviously you should put them in there. Hey, if they get their bell rung in the first round, at least you're sticking to the criteria that you put out to us.
Hmm.
This parity, the NILs, everything has just set us up for in the future possibly going to a super league or a format set up like the NFL. I don't know how some of the bigger teams, smaller teams are going to fare when that happens because let's be real, fellas, it's going to happen here sooner or later. Uh, they'll just have to, I guess, figure that out as they go along. But that's what we're setting ourselves up for is for some type of super league where we have East and West and set this thing up and everybody go. I know we'll miss a lot of our favorite rivalries, but I mean, that's the only way you can fairly kind of do this thing. Coach, I know you got to run here, man. I definitely appreciate you coming on, man, and talk a little bit about Georgia with us, man. But before you go, man, let everybody know how they can check you out, man, and where they can find you, man, because I know you got a lot of stuff going on, man. You shake and move, man. So let everybody know.
All right, man. Yeah, man. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, IG, Twitter, X, whatever we calling it. Fan Addict Sports, all one word. So we do live shows on Tuesday with Talking Georgia football. We do a live show every Saturday night snap count, and then we got some live shows for all the Georgia away games. We're in Athens at Creature Comfort Brewery doing a live show next Saturday. Matter of fact, for the Florida game, we'll be there doing a live show tailgate with the Tailgate Kings, who's our partner. And it's a big show. So if you're not going down to Jacksonville to check out the cocktail party, join us in Athens.
Hey, that's what's up, Coach I, man. It was a pleasure. We appreciate you, man. Definitely look forward to having you back. Obviously, man, we gotta definitely get you booked, man. So I definitely work on that, man, and see if we can get you on a regular basis, man. Coach I, we appreciate it.
All right, appreciate it, fellas.
All right. All right, Banks, man. That was a little bit of Georgia football with Coach I. I feel good, man. Coach, I really, what I'm saying, was able to come in and talk to us a little bit about the landscape of college football and where Georgia is and what's going on with that situation. Obviously, next up for Georgia is the Gators down there in Jacksonville at the cocktail party, right?
Yeah, brother. I mean, I'm excited, guy. I mean, this. Let me tell you something, Leo. We are in a situation with college football where, when I just told you, it's about to be complete, utter chaos, and Georgia's going to be right in the middle of it. And to go forward, we still have tough games ahead. We got Florida, we still got Ole Miss, we still got Tennessee. I just can't wait, and other teams, are going to face challenges, and who knows? Are we going to get a two-loss team? And you know, we definitely gonna get a two-loss team in, but how many two-loss teams we gonna have battling for that spot? You know, are we gonna get a
Oh,
three-loss team in? I mean, who
uh,
knows? I mean,
I
it's
don't
just
know
you
about a
never
3 loss.
know. I mean, you
You
never
never know.
know. I mean, you never know. I mean, it's just it can happen.
It's
A
gonna
team
battle out to
that
the end. We know that.
yeah, and it's oh my goodness, and it's I can't even just go 1 week at a time with it. You know what I'm saying? Now LSU, Texas A&M, that's a good game right there. It's just I guess you gotta just sit back and see what how the cards gonna
Where,
fall.
where, the,
It's
where the
just
chips gonna fall, man. Shout out to
and
my
let me
man Curtis, man. Look, Banks Curtis said we should pro relegate college football, meaning that we should have a top tier level of college football, and then if you don't stay, if you can't hang, you get relegated down to a lower tier of college football.
something
That's
like a
what my man.
NIT or something. I mean,
Well, yeah, pretty much like NIT. Or if you were up there with the big dogs in FBS, then all of a sudden you get knocked back down there with the lesser schools, man. If you can't hang, that would be
man,
pretty
that's
interesting,
yeah.
man. But we'll see how the shape of college football here lands up, man. Definitely gonna bring Coach I back, and we definitely look forward to talking about the dogs next week after the cocktail party down in Jacksonville. So listen, Banks, let's move to the next part of the program because we got another guest to come in and talk some Atlanta Falcons football, right?
Hey, let's go, Dirty
All
Birds.
right, man. Listen. So we're gonna talk a little Atlanta Falcons football. We want to bring on the guest, man. We want to bring on somebody that I've known for a while, and I know that he is to be a big Falcons fan. Got to bring in my man Wes Winslet, man. What's going on, Wes?
Hey, good morning, Leo. How you doing, baby?
Man, I am doing well. I am doing well here, man. It is early in the morning. I'm glad that you were able to come on, man. I know you've been a big fan of the show for a while. But I wanted to get your take in on some Falcons football here. One of the first things I want to talk about with you, Wes, is you do something kind of funny here. And I don't know if it's done publicly or not, but you do these skits, these comedy skits, man, after Falcons games. Win or loss, you do them all the time, man. Give us a little background as to how you started those.
Well, Leo, I started. My wife and I, Jessica and I, we were looking at it yesterday, and I just said, I had a friend of mine. He does weather reports and things like that, and I said, well, I think I'm going to start doing a recap of Atlanta Falcons football, and she's like, go for it, see how it rolls. And I started, 2 minute, well, good afternoon or good evening, Facebook friends and family Falcon fans. Come to you live from the bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, the sports room, et cetera, et cetera. So, long story short, Leo, it started about 9 years ago. I came up and I said, I'm going to create this, and it's been rolling since, man. And I enjoy it. I know sometimes it may be a little long. I try to keep it under 4 minutes so people don't get bored with it. But it's all about having fun, man. And I do love my birds. I've been a season ticket holder now for 21 seasons, and before that, I've been a Falcon fan all my life, man. I just love my Falcons, and win or lose, obviously the skits are better when they're when we're winning, But I always have fun with it, man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, dude. It's always fun. Obviously, yes, when they win, man, they're a little more comical. When you lose, it's like, wow, what happened? Hey, Wes, I'm gonna put you in the staging area here just for a second. Looks like we have some technical difficulties. I want to get this kind of cleaned up here, and we'll bring you back on here as we talk a little more about the Falcons. Had to add Wes down to the staging area, and we'll bring him right back. Banks, let's start it off, man. Last week we were in Mercedes Benz, and we went from a very joyous occasion to a damn funeral last last Sunday at Mercedes-Benz as we got mollywopped by the Seattle Seahawks, man. I don't know what happened, man. Let's talk about a little bit about this, and we'll bring Wes back in to talk about this as well. 34-14, get smacked by the Seattle Seahawks, man. I was a little confused, man, because this team didn't even look like they showed up. Like, I don't know, maybe they had too much fun out the night before watching Georgia beat Texas at the bar or something. I don't know, but this team did not look prepared at all, in my opinion. I don't know what you thought about it.
I was a loss of words. I sat there and watched the game, and it just didn't seem like everything was flowing. I mean, it was just from the beginning of national anthem. It's just like something just not right here. It just didn't feel like it could been the Falcons' day. And sure enough, Seattle just came out a little bit more hungrier than the Falcons. You can tell they had a little pep in their step. They coming off a 3-game losing streak. I guess they felt like we're not losing the fourth. Unlike the Falcons, we just kind of like was just coasting, and it showed. I guess it's one of those weeks down NFL, I guess.
I guess. I don't know, man. And sometimes, like I said, man, my dad used to always say, man, sometimes a butt whipping will wake you up. Obviously, that was a butt whipping on every front of the offensively, defensively, man. Special teams. I mean, we just could not wake up and get it going, man. And every time we did get a little momentum, because we all know how important momentum is when we talk about sports, something will hang us up. I haven't seen an undisciplined Falcons game like that in quite some time, man. There were quite a few penalties that shouldn't have been, in my opinion. And I was like, you know what? I kind of checked out, man, after I saw Jake Matthews jump off sides, man. Like, I'm like, dude, our most veteran offensive lineman jumping off sides, I'm like, I don't know what to say anymore about that, man. I see my man Derrico has joined us, and we'll get to Derrico here in just a second. I'm going to add Wes back really quickly. Wes, we're having a little technical difficulties with you, man, but we're going to try to work through it because I definitely want to get your opinion on what you saw in the Seattle game at Mercedes-Benz.
All right. Leo, I apologize for that. I hope it ain't on my end, maybe. I apologize for that. But, man, I'll be honest with you. Kind of like Banks said, man, it just seemed like we were flat. We were all the game on boys. They were like, man, this is this morning, man. I'm like, well, we'll see what happens. But we got inside, obviously, and we got spanked, kind of like my skit last week. I mean, we just got it whipped. And it's crazy, man. But one thing, you may touch on it here in just a minute, but one thing that's just frustrating, man, we gotta get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. And then of course Metcalf was eating up the secondary, but I mean can't really blame him on secondary when they got 10 seconds to throw the football. Somebody's gonna get open.
Absolutely, man. Not to cut you off, Wes here. Gotta bring my man Derrico in, and like I said, we'll kind of work through the technical difficulties that we have going on, Wes. So stay with us, man. Just be patient and stay with us here as we continue to go. Derrico's over there, man. He's on his way trying to get down to Florida as we take on the Yuccaneers on tomorrow. Derrico, we're gonna try to work through all our technical difficulties right now and keep it rolling, man. But your thoughts on that drubbing last week against the Seahawks?
Yeah, I was surprised, dog. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't think we was gonna take a lump like that, especially at home. That's 3 losses at the house, dog. If we don't do nothing else, you gotta win at home. You know what I'm saying? That's the worst part about losing is losing at the house. And the way we lost is again letting our defense get ate up without no pass rush. And then of course, Kirk didn't have one of the best games in his life either. Offensive line was doo-doo. The only bright shining star on that whole team on last weekend was number 7. That's it. Everybody else could have stayed in Flowery Branch and did some extra practices, extra running on the field or something, because they absolutely did not show up last weekend, and they better do it today. I don't care who is out at Tampa. They better show up today. Tomorrow. They better show up tomorrow.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Now it's time to set the precedence. If Rye has talked about running the South, and hey, listen, we'll get into it here in just a minute, but it doesn't matter who shows up and lines up against you, man. Okay, that Seattle game obviously is behind you. you need to be prepared for the Buccaneers and extending your lead in the division and moving forward, because we always talk about this here, fellas. Banks, we made the point of you got to get into the dance if you want to get in there and you want to do so. You just got to get into the dance. So Tampa is in front of us. I want to touch a little bit about something before we move into talking about the game against Tampa. And Banks, we've talked about this time and time again on air and off air, and it's with this defense. Unfortunately, man, we are anemic when it comes to pass rush. We are almost dead last statistically in every category when you talk about rushing the passer. And the funny thing about it, well, it's not funny. It's starting to be irritating and it's past irritating now. I don't know what's beyond irritating, but the fact that we cannot get a pass rush is just so frustrating. And like West touched on it as well. You can't give anybody in NFL 9 seconds to throw a football, man. That's just ridiculous, man. This is professional football, man. All three of us could have gotten behind that Seattle line and completed passes this past Sunday. We brought Matthew Judon in. We thought that he was going to be the spark plug that we needed to generate some pass rush. Obviously, he has done a few things. He caused a interception that we had against New Orleans a couple of weeks ago, but he's just been a couple of steps off and getting to the quarterback as well. I've gone on record as saying I think at this time it's time for an overhaul on the defensive line, man. I'm tired of people trying to indict our secondary because AJ Terrell and they're not doing this. People, I'm gonna pass this over to Banks. We have two of the best safeties in the league, best safety tandem in my opinion in the league. AJ Terrell is a great caliber cornerback in my opinion. Okay, everybody can't be studs in the secondary, but if you don't generate a pass rush, you're not helping your secondary. You're not helping your defense tenfold. It works from front to back. Your front seven has to help all the way to your back when you get to your safety play. Banks, this is a broken record now with this pass rush from regime to regime. It's almost been 2 decades since we've had a bona fide, solidified, true A1 pass rusher, man, or a pass rush to be proud of, to say the least, man. I don't know what else there is that the Falcons could do other than just overhauling this whole entire front line.
Listen, I'm tired of talking about this. I'm kind of numb to it at this point. Every off season we go through the same song and dance about we need a pass rush, 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 and we keep being in the same predicament, sitting here talking about why are we in the bottom 5 of the league in quarterback pressure. Like, I don't understand. And then Jimmy Lake, the defensive coordinator, what really irritates me about him is that you come out here and you have this press conference saying we're almost there. Where? What are you talking about? Like, you're blowing smoke up the fans, and it's like, don't do that. I mean, we were sucking it before and you come in, you give us this BS talking about we almost there, and we're nowhere near there. So I mean, it's like I'm exhausted. At this point, is it the players or is it the schemes? Is it the schemes or is it the player? Who knows, bro? I mean, my thing is, I'm just starting to realize, man, we just may not ever have a pass rush. We just gotta outscore the other team and hope for the best, I guess.
There's always room for improvement, Banks. And like I said, eventually, you're gonna have to get this thing figured out, right? I don't know how long it's gonna take, but you would think over several regimes that we would definitely look into getting this thing fixed. I'm gonna try to bring Wes in here and get his opinion on the lack of pass rush with this Atlanta Falcons defense, man, because it's been happening for quite some time. I'm gonna see if we can get Wes in. We're still having a few technical difficulties with you, Wes. If we can get this resolved, man, we'll have to bring you back in on the second round. But I'm gonna try to see if we can get you to talk a little bit about the pass rush.
All right, it ain't no problem, Leo. I just appreciate the opportunity. You guys do an awesome job, so I appreciate the opportunity this morning. Again, I apologize. Jumped the segment earlier. I apologize for that as well. But regarding the pass rush, man, we're just gonna have to find the right pieces. It's like you said, everybody's excited about that. Oh man, this guy, he did good in Denver. It's just, he really hadn't really done a whole lot. Now, granted, sometimes he's been double teamed. We just got to figure out something. I don't know if it's, I don't know if Terry Fontenot was doing a poor job, drafting folks, these young kids or what. But we need to find a stud. We need to find a stud like
Wes, man, I apologize. We're gonna bring you back, man. We're having some technical difficulties here, man. But listen, I appreciate you coming out, man. You can stay with us here, man, and we'll try to get this here figured out here in just a second. But definitely want to keep you featured, man. And we definitely appreciate you being a big fan of the show, man. That's my man, Wes Wisley, man. We're gonna get that figured out, man, because Wes has a lot of insight. Like he said, he's been a season ticket holder for quite some time. Definitely want to get his feedback, and we'll definitely feature some of his skits here later on in the show. Hey, when you go live, sometimes guys, you gotta do these things. We work through them. We've been doing this here for a while, man. So definitely want to shout out Wes, man, and having him come on. And if we can get that sorted out, we'll definitely bring it back. Derrico, man, we pass it over to you here on this topic of pass rush, brother. What's going on with the pass rush, man? Can we buy a pass rush? Can you see if you can find somebody down there in K-Road that's up and coming to help these boys out? Something, anything.
All I got to say, brother, is we need to just in the next draft, we just gotta invite heavily, invest heavily on the pass rush. That's it. I mean, if we don't make a trade before the fifth, it's gonna be a problem. That means you're not serious about taking this team to the playoffs and then beating the playoffs. If you don't try your best, not saying that they're not trying, but you got to make it happen. I know it takes two to tango, but at this point, you just got to throw the kitchen sink out. You just got to at this point. I mean, we've been having this conversation for far too long, and I'm tired of it. I'm up here with the level of pissivity without lack of pass rush. That's where I'm going with right now. So, Buckno, Arthur Blank, Raheem, y'all better go get something. That's all I got to say about that.
Hey man, it's something that has to be addressed, and we've talked about this. You know, we have all gotten upset with the draft, and just going back to what my man Wes said about drafting somebody in here. Over the last several drafts, you know, Banks has Banks, you, Derek Cole, me as well. Why are we using premium picks to go after defensive players that can help us on that front? We've been screaming that, and now, you know, I hate to say this, but it's coming back to us. Derrick, I'm gonna say something. You know, you had a lot to say when we drafted number 5, but you've come around on number 5. I think that guy is a dog. He is the best wide receiver that we have. Obviously, you know, the chemistry with him and Kirk, they're working on it, but he's been able to do some things this year that I've been very proud of. With that being said, you know, we took him very, very high in the draft where we could have looked for some defensive help, and we didn't. You know, I don't know. At some point, we're going to have to make the defense a priority. I know the offense is sexy. I know that's what people, you know, come to see. As people would say, that the offense puts the cheeks in the seats. But in my opinion, I know it's cliches, but defense wins championships. And you're going to have to solidify that defense, man, if you want to become a very successful team in this league.
And Leo, that's my biggest gripe with the last 3 drafts. We had choices to make, and we went with the sexy picks instead of going with the actual picks that we needed on defense. We had game-changing players that we could have picked on defense. When you pick it in the top 8 for 3 years in a row, you have to understand that you got to build from the outside in. So we've been inside out. We've been saying this for so long that I just did it backwards. But my mindset actually said outside in instead of inside out. Once we get to a point where we feel like that's the mentality and the way to build this football team, we can be having this conversation next year.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Banks, I know you see, I put it on the screen. You see, I put it on the screen. I put it on there just for you, Banks, man. The fact that we have not been able to you know, build a charge. You've beat the drum for a while about getting some solid defensive players in here, man. You know, there's no time like the present to scream and yell at the front office that this has to be addressed one way or another, man. We don't care anything about, like you said, with the flashy running backs, the wide receivers, even though the guys that we've drafted, no disrespect to Bijan, no disrespect to Drake London, you know, Kyle Pitts. I know how you feel about that. I don't think you want to beat that drum, but defensively, man, I think it's time to really go up there with some signs in front of Flowery Branch and say, hey, man, this first round of the draft coming up needs to be defense.
Listen here, you need to change that sign from Falcons PTSD to Falcons PISSED because I'm pissed. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's not even about P- PTSD. You know, it's like listen, like Derrico said, you build a team from the inside out. You know, we went out there and got Kyle Pitts at 4. You know, I don't want to go down that road again because I'm tired talking about that. I said my piece about it. It should never happen. Then you went after Drake London the year after that. Then you went after Bijan Robinson the year after that. And it's like, why, dude? Like, what are we doing? Like, you let all these defensive players that was available at your disposal in the top 10 pick, and you didn't even sniff at it. You didn't even look at it. Like, it was like, we're good. We're good on the defense. Since when? This goes back as far as Mike Smith was a head coach. I mean, when have we ever been just good on defense? We've never been just good on defense. We were just getting by on defense. You know, then we went on to the Dan Quinn era. Yeah, we had a Super Bowl run, but I mean, you could really chalk that up with a really high explosive offense. The defense was basically just pinning their ears back because you was getting a big lead that whole entire year. Majority of the rest of his regime, we was what dead, bottom 5 sacks, same old song and dance. And here we are, another regime, same old, same things. We're still talking about not having a. You know what I'm so sick and tired of hearing? Our last pass rusher, John Abraham. Guys, John Abraham, like this is back in '06. We're talking about almost 20 years. I mean, come on, guys. Okay,
It's so
yeah.
frustrating. So look, hey,
Yeah.
shout out to our boy Phil, man, over there at Eastlands. Listen, he said, how many regimes have to come through the A before we learn how to fix this D line? I don't know. Hopefully, before I don't know the we get called. I don't know. We have to wait and see. Fellas, we're a little pressed on time here. I'm gonna go around the horn, man. Get your thoughts about the Buccaneers game tomorrow. Obviously, I'll start here and go first. Tampa has a lot. Tampa is a wounded duck right now. But listen, we can't take that for granted. We can definitely not take that for granted. We know this is the NFL. The players are going to step up. I think Tampa has some talent to step up. Baker Mayfield has been playing very well. We saw what he could do firsthand in Mercedes-Benz. They're going to be missing both of their receivers, that the number 1 and 2 options, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. But I think this is a chance for us to control our destiny in a division. This is a game to not be taken for granted. This is a game that, in my opinion, is going to be another rock fight. I think we should be okay in Tampa. I'm still a little apprehensive because you just don't know with these games in the NFL. You know, you just don't know. But you can't take it for granted that Tampa is going to be missing people. Derek, I'm going to give it to you because I don't want you to catch your flight. Let me know about your expectations as we take on the Buccaneers tomorrow.
Man, my expectation is just not to allow some no-name receiver to put up 150 yards on us. And the only way that that's going to happen is we got to get to Baker Mayfield. If we don't get to Baker Mayfield, make sure we take Baker Mayfield off his spot because we know Baker will give it up. So if we get 1 or 2 turnovers off of Baker being Baker, then I think we got to change. I just don't see Kirk having a bad game 2 games in a row. So I think he's going to come out, firing the ball down the field, and I hope he really do establish a run. And if we establish a run, stop the run, and make a Bayfield turn the ball over 1 or 2 times, I think we have a good chance of taking the lead again in the NFC South to going 4-8 in the NFC South.
That's what's up. Banks, giving over to you. Your thoughts about this game tomorrow in Tampa.
I'm just going off the sentiments of Derrico. We're gonna have a guy named Jerry Simmons and a Matthew Battasaw going up against our secondary. And if you wonder who they are, we don't know because it's just random names I just made up. And it's how random we can just make receivers look with our non-existent pass rush. So yes, it's going to be one of those games where you can be like, "Who was that? Why is he torching our secondary the way he is?" And he won't have a game like this ever again, but he will have it against our team and our defense. So I'm prepared for it.
Man, our man Phil just said not to sleep on Tampa, like we just said, man. We've seen this before. We've seen injured players, and we've seen, like you said, Banks, guys that just got off the plane the night before, didn't even know the playbook, come out and just show us up, man, for real. So hopefully we won't relive that nightmare tomorrow. And like Derrico said, we can handle business, go 4-0 in the division, and control our own destiny moving forward. Listen, man, want to get into a couple of other talking points before we close this show out. Derrico, man, I know you're at the airport, man. If you want to go ahead and slide out and do your thing, man, we definitely appreciate. Hey, you made it happen, dog. So I can't talk about you for the next 24 hours, and then we'll get back. That statute of limitations will be over, so then I can talk bad about you after that, man. But we appreciate you sliding through for the
And
through for us.
Derrico, you
What up?
bring us back a victory, brother.
Hey,
Bring us
listen,
back.
listen,
Bring us 5-3, sir. Bring us
listen,
5-3.
listen. This is my first time ever going to a away game in Tampa, so I don't plan on coming
Oh,
back
you're gonna
here.
enjoy it, sir. You're
You
gonna
know what I'm
enjoy it.
saying? Y'all know I travel a lot. I had no idea why I've never been to Tampa to an away game, but today is the day that I break that thing, whatever it was, and we gonna bring back that dub. Hey man, I love y'all, brothers. Peace, and thank y'all for listening. Let's
Hey,
go.
absolutely, man. Our boy Derrico, man, out there. Hold on, Derrico. I hope he didn't kill our stream this time. Nah, we still good, man. We still good. Whew. All right. We still good, man. Derrico.
I heard you. What you about to say?
Nah, man. I was just hoping you didn't kill our stream, dog. That's it, man. But we good. We good, brother. Safe travels down in Tampa, man. Oh man. So yeah, man. So listen, Banks, before we get off the air, man, I want to talk about a couple of things here moving forward. Obviously, a couple of talking points before we close this thing out. First thing, man, got to bring up Atlanta United always. The boys made the playoffs, man. Like you said, by hook or by crook, Atlanta United made the playoffs, man. They beat Montreal in the wild card round. First time in history, Atlanta United wins a playoff game due to PKs, man. Brad Guzan standing on his head playing extremely well. We made it to the playoffs. We got in, and then we had to go face the Giant down there in Miami. First of all, Banks, your thoughts on Atlanta United just making the playoffs after the crazy season they had?
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let me tell you something. I was the one that sat there and dismissed them. I will, and shame on me, but yes, I did dismiss them because they were just having this funky season. I couldn't even tell what was heads or tails. They just, it's whatever. And in that wild card game, Leo Joseph almost ended us by himself, and I was like, "Wow, how poetic that this man is going to put us out." But I was kind of prepared for it, and then to see those PKs, man, I was like, "Wow, like it was our time, I guess." So congrats to the United, 5 strikes forever. Let's go.
Hey man, let's go. That's what's up. Listen, so we did make it to so a lot of elation Tuesday night as we took that win up in Montreal. Like you said, Joseph by himself tried to stop that hope, but we made it. So then last night we went down to Miami. A little different tune, man. We ended up. This is a 3-game series, so we're still in it. Got another game coming up to Mercedes-Benz on next week, man. Took on Inter Miami, and of course, Lionel Messi and the rest of the crew down, the rest of Inter Miami down there. Suarez, Jordi Alba, they didn't disappoint. 90 seconds in, they score the first goal of the game. This was a match that was very intense because guess what? Inter Miami hadn't beaten Atlanta United this year, right? Atlanta United went down to Miami, beat them 3-1 the first time in the first meeting, and then a couple of months ago here, Lionel Messi's first return after being injured at Copa America, they come up here and Atlanta United fights to a 2-2 draw with the Supporter Shield champs, right? That was crazy. Atlanta United makes to the playoffs. They get the number 1 seed, possibly one of the best MLS teams we're seeing ever in the history of the league right now. And then they come back and then they score a goal and tie this thing up. Obviously, late in the second half, Miami scores a goal to take the lead 2-1, to take the 1-0 lead against Atlanta United coming into the game here next week. But man, that was a battle. Atlanta United is showing some really, really tough resilience against a team that people have dubbed like the best team in MLS history. Banks, how do you feel about that? A team that fought their way to get into the playoffs, won the wild card, and now they're going toe to toe with some of the best players in the world.
Well, I guess you got to start somewhere. You had to basically go through a whole coaching change, and then not really have a coaching God, higher solidified just yet, unless I'm been sleeping on a rock and I didn't find out what it was. But you still doing the best you can do, and that's all you can ask for. You know, kudos to him. Like I said, we got another game coming to the Mercedes Benz. Let's see what happens. We might can get it back down to Miami again, but we'll see. But kudos to them for doing what they're doing so far.
Man, absolutely, man. Always proud of them Five Stripe boys, man. Shout out to everybody over there, Atlanta United Footy Mob, man. Of course, we still shout out our boy Macaroni Tony, man, for real. Rest easy, brother. They just had the memorial for him, man. But we still gonna hold you up, Tony, man. That's what's up, man. Listen, one more thing before we get up out of here, Banks. And I see it. I see you repping it over there. I am sorry we didn't get a chance to talk to it earlier when we do our fit check, drink check. I'm tongue tied. Them Atlanta Hawks, baby, started the NBA season off right, man. Got their first win of the season against the Brooklyn Nets, and then they followed that up with another win against them Charlotte Hornets last night, right, man? Hawks is back. I see it. Kaka.
Kaka. Hey, listen, had to rip them out, had to throw the old back with the peach, with the ATL, as you can see right here. We don't talk about the Hawks that much on this show, and we should. Shame on us. But listen, Hawks still my NBA team. I rep the city, I rep everything. So kudos to them. You guys about to go to OKC, I think on Sunday and play the Thunder. Let's keep it rolling. We got shout out to the rookie out there, Rich Shea, if I'm saying his name correct. It's going to be a journey. It's going to be a fight. I hope these guys, they play together and keep that continuity going. You know, from here on out, what I'm saying, I'm going to rep the Hawks, and I'm going to let everybody know that I'm a Hawks fan, and we have to do better as fans too. To give them some love. They out here repping to do the best they can as well. So shout out to the Atlanta Hawks.
Absolutely. Shout out to them Hawks, man. Listen, it's that time. We got to come to a close. Banks, it's been fun, man. We've had some guests come on today, man. Shout out Coach I. Shout out to our boy Wes Wednesday, man. Obviously, Wes, we're going to get him back because, like I said, man, Wes is that dude, man. Wes is a big time Falcons fan, man. And we definitely appreciate him getting up this morning to be with us, man. It's just sometimes, when you do shows, you have a few technical difficulties, man, but there's no fault on anybody's part, man. We'll definitely get this thing cleaned up and we'll definitely bring it back. And also, what I want him to do, man, is shoot me over some of these videos so we can definitely feature it for the next show, man. Very, very comical, very, very cool what he does over there on his social media page. So we'll definitely bring that back. Shout out to my man Wes, and shout out to our guy Coach I. Man, holler at him, like he says. He goes live on Tuesdays, and he also has a show today that he does over there. Talking about Georgia Bulldogs. He also does the away games up there at Creature Conference in Athens. So if you're in Athens when the Bulldogs are away, they're at Creature Conference and they do a live show there. So we definitely appreciate Coach I. Shout out to our boy Derek Cole, who's at Hartsfield right now, getting ready to get on the plane for his first away trip down to Tampa. So that should be fun for him. Banks, before we close this thing out, man, listen, I'm gonna do it in reverse order this time, Banks. We're gonna do it in reverse order. Shout out one of our partners in there. He is.
Hey, Eastland Woodworking Company. Any birthdays, any bar mitzvahs, any graduations, or anything that you have special going on, or something personal for yourself. Shout out to my boy Phil, man. He can hook you up. You know what I'm saying? That's what he do. He will sit there and customize anything or whatever you want personalized to you. Shout out Phil. Check out that QR code. Hit our guy up.
Yeah, hit that QR code up, man. Our boy Eastland's Woodworking, man. Our boy Phil, man, doing it big over there. He got a lot of stuff, man. And if you can think it, he can build it. If you can dream it, he can build it. I'm putting Phil out there like that, man. But yeah, hit him up, man. Definitely let him know what you need for all your woodworking needs, anything that you want like that, man. Also, definitely got to shout out my man over there, BZ, moisturizing and conditioning beard spray and hair care products, man. He's doing it big, man. If you want to get some spray, if you want to get some of the product, man, hit us up. Don't forget to mention the show ATL 3 Style, man. You can also contact my man at 470-222-9927. That's 470-222-9927. BEZ Natural Beard Spray and Hair Care Products, man. Listen, Banks, it has been another edition of the ATL 3 Style Podcast Live. Really love it, man. Let everybody know where they can find you before we close this thing out, brother.
Before I do that, I want to say my shout out to Coach I and Coach and Wes. Appreciate these guys coming in with us. I wanted to ask Wes, before we, got disconnected this day, was he going to any away games? Um, Everyone's talking about in the Falcon Nation that they're going to Vegas. I, for one, trying to figure out how many people are going to represent out there because it seemed like almost half of Atlanta's going, and I'm just trying to figure out how. It's not that many flights that can carry the whole city out there. But if it is,
You don't drive. You don't catch Greyhound. Go dog.com.
You know what? A 2 day trip. Why not? But I feel like not just Vegas trip. We got Derek going down to Tampa. People talking about they going down to New Orleans. Like I haven't heard a trip down to New Orleans from this fan base in a long time. Like in droves. And that's very encouraging to hear. That's something that that's good times that the fan base is coming back around and hell yeah, let's do it. But yes, my contacts, find me at Antoine Jarrell Banks on Facebook, or you can find me at Baby Banks 80 on Instagram. Appreciate everyone who's been watching the show, coming back at me at the end, tell me they see me on my podcast. Make sure y'all subscribe, and keep us, so every time we're on, you can get that notification and see that we can get more viewership. Shout out to every if I missed you, everybody, I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you.
Absolutely, man.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate our fans, man. Catch me at Southern Set 2Ts on Twitter. You can also catch Derico VSU. I got to get the scroll when it comes back by VSU 96 STD. You can also catch us at ATL 3 Style on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it these days. And obviously, we do have a Facebook page. Thanks to those of you that are watching the show on our Facebook page, on our YouTube live page, man. It's pretty awesome, man, to get the feedback, man, and just doing what we're doing. So, man, this has been another edition of the ATL 3 Style Live podcast. Hopefully, we'll get back to you next week. Yes, Wes, we will bring you back on, brother. Definitely bring you back on. It's been another edition of the show. We'll catch you guys on the next go round.